Hello, it's Kate and Eric from the Ayurveda Summit, and we really appreciate all the people who opted in and have enjoyed the recordings. And for those of you who've left feedback, it's been really wonderful to share the experience with all of you. And Dr. Eric Grasser and I just wanted to talk a little bit about some highlights from being involved, from being the co-host here of the Ayurveda Summit. So Eric,
Yeah.
what were some of your highlights?
I mean, for me, I was just really touched by being able to actually have conversations with some of these people that I've been following for years, reading their books, listening to their online content, lectures, seeing them at conferences, and just to kind of almost really literally get into their offices and living rooms and just ask the questions that I'd been wanting to ask and that I felt like our listeners wanted to hear. It was really neat. I mean, these people were, when I first found Ayurveda, these were the gurus, if you will. These were the teachers that I only read in books, and then I was talking to them. So that was kind of neat. And some, of course, are, people I get to see frequently and communicate with. And so then it was just like talking to an old friend. So that was really neat. Of course, content-wise, I really was impressed with just how, even though we were interviewing people from all over the world and from different avenues of Ayurveda and yoga, that there were really some things that kept coming up again and again. And that was self-care, so vital and important. That was the power of simple practices like meditation and daily routine, the importance of not just the what that you eat, but the where, when, how, and why of diet and nutrition and community as it relates to food. Those things were really hitting home and coming from a variety of speakers with a variety of backgrounds. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the, when you're talking about, talking to the teachers and gurus and having conversations, Prashanti Dejagar and I, we talked a little bit about this, how like one of the whole streams of teaching historically in Ayurveda is conversational. It's less, teacher to student as a lecturer,
Right.
and more just arising in dialogue, and the importance of that, like the importance of the familiarity or the familiarity as well, like that it's a familial type of an experience where we're just kind of kicking back and talking, and that a whole other level of learning happens when our guard is down a little bit like that, and it's not just cognitive or intellectual learning, but we're learning more with all parts of ourselves, and it sticks. Like those are the teachings, and I just really invite all the listeners right now to think of, one or two things that you heard during the summit where it just really landed, whether it was the way that someone said something or just it provoked a memory in you or an experience in you that enabled it to hit home and for you to be able to digest, that particular insight particularly well.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that's on my mind right now is just the whole balance between learning this ancient wisdom, like you mentioned, as a student in a traditional, scientific, organized way, which is not really the way it was always taught by the teacher. So the ancient wisdom and taking that and really studying that, and there's an importance to that. But then the modern conversation, which is what we kind of came up with a year ago when we were thinking about this whole thing, of how we are responsible to preserve the wisdom, but also to update it and modernize it in a way that allows us to go out in our communities and on the planet. And also we have to kind of heal the planet. It's sort of our responsibility, those of us who are aware and conscious and thinking about these things and have the opportunity to sort of learn this ancient wisdom and then modernize it. We're kind of responsible for, hate to say it, but saving the planet really and this wisdom is a really good avenue for doing that.
Yeah. And our fellow humans who are just less, maybe have less access to the information or less resources to tap in, or less coaching, or, all of that. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that was big for me. It almost gave me this renewed passion and motivation to like just get out there and spread the word, really.
I heard that from so much of in the feedback and the emails and and just from people, a lot of people on my Facebook page or whatever. Just I got these long messages saying like I someone emailed me, a friend from 5-10 years ago from yoga, like I'm so invigorated to start a local composting bin in my neighborhood. This Ayurveda summit has like really awakened my responsibility to my neighborhood and my planet. And it's like, yes,
Yeah.
it's really beautiful.
Yeah. And I mean, we love talking about doshas and we love talking about dhatus. And those of us who, maybe have years of access to Ayurveda and we like the sort of deeper, more technical, finer points of it. But really that, I think, there were some of that, certainly. I mean, we learned more about panchakarma, we learned more about herbs, we learned more about yoga. But the sort of the speakers that really, I think, hit home were talking about a more global understanding and a more global application of the wisdom. And that was really what I think resonated with a lot of people.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I just want to add to one of the sort of surprising highlights for me with the interviews was how thankful the people I interviewed were for the dialogue.
Yeah.
I mean, just thank you for having this conversation. And they just felt like I've wanted to have this conversation for a while, and I'm so glad that other people are going to be able to listen in, and so much appreciation for that. And that was absolutely surprising and heartwarming. And I feel like that really came through. And in terms of the actual conversations that were generated, that, while some were more formal, some were more informal, and all these different ways of learning, but the speakers really had something that they wanted everyone to hear.
Yeah. And I think that I agree. I mean, the speakers, but then also the listeners were just so thankful and that we put it all together. And a lot of people were curious about how we did it. And we're actually going to talk about that next week. We'll deliver that video to people about the behind the scenes action. Yeah, it was a bit of work, and we wanted to share with people kind of how it all came together, and also they'll be able to learn something. I think that will help them who are going to distribute their own content and curate some of the ancient wisdom to get a little info from us from behind the scenes.
Yeah,
so that'll be fun. We'll
that
talk
will be
about
fun.
that.
Yeah. One last thing I want to add into this conversation of highlights is just how diverse the feedback was on different speakers. That like the speakers hit home for so many different people in so many different areas that it wasn't just like, oh, this one person really stood out. One thing I noticed is that I would just get these emails of like, wow, this one person who was maybe had less feedback on the forums, but wow, really hit home for like a group of people that felt driven to just privately email me, and long emails of like how affected they were. So that was really neat too. Just the whole spectrum, like you talked about, just the spectrum of the conversations out there. So I'm really glad that just how it all came together, and look forward to the behind the scenes video.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Kate, for co-hosting with me and helping us get it done.
Go Ayurveda.
Yeah. And happy Thanksgiving to those in North America. America, I guess. We had our Thanksgiving and a lot to give thankful for, especially this body of work that we put together and shared with everyone.
Hey, y'all. I'm so thrilled that Body Thrive, my book, Up-Level Your Body and Your Life in 10 Weeks with 10 Habits from Ayurveda and Yoga. It has hit the #1 bestseller on Amazon under the Ayurveda category, and we are having a book release party. We wanted to invite the people from the Ayurveda Summit to come. Eric's going to come as well, and we have lots of prizes to give away. I'm going to be giving away some Body Thrive courses and a lot of other cool classes on Ayurveda. It's December 8th at 4 p.m. Eastern. I tried to make it at a time when a lot of people from around the globe could make it. We've got a number of guest speakers all bringing really cool prizes, and it's just going to be a fun celebration of the daily habits of Ayurveda and stepping into Thrive.
Yeah. It'll be my first book release online party.
Me too.
Is there a dress code?
There's no dress code.
Okay.
No.
I'll be in clinic, but I'm going to take time out to be there.
You have to have a noise cancellation microphone.
Okay. Like this?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So what's your prize? What are you giving away?
I'm gonna let somebody in on my course, Dr. Grasser's 7-week rapid rejuvenation cleanse, which will be a not one size fits all, but a customized cleanse happening starting in February. And so I would like one of your Body Thrive fans to be there with me for free.
Yay, that's great. And that's worth what? I mean, that's worth some
$197 is the price point on that. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And so December 8th, you got to register. Go to bodythrive.com and you can just click on the little party button and register. We'll also be giving away some registration bonuses as well. So go on over there if this sounds like fun and you want to know more about the 10 habits from Ayurveda and yoga to up-level your body and your life.
All right. See you there.
Woohoo!